In part 1, we went through the steps to launch an EC2 instance. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend checking it out first, where you'll find the link in the description. In this video, I'll show you 3 different ways to connect your EC2 instance using SSH, AWS Session Manager, and the EC2 Instance Connect feature. By the end of this video, you will be able to choose the best method for your use case. So let's get started. Now that the EC2 instance is successfully launched, the next step is to connect to the instance, install a web server, access using the public IP address. It's like having an application and accessing it through a browser. For example, imagine this instance is hosting a Facebook application. To access it, we type facebook.com in a browser, right? But does the EC2 instance have domain name by default? No, it doesn't. Instead, a user-friendly domain name like facebook.com or gmail.com is created and mapped to the public IP address of the application instance. When you enter facebook.com in the browser, the domain name resolves into the public IP address, the request reaches the server, and the server returns the appropriate login page. However, this is not a Facebook application and we don't have a domain name. So what we will do, we will directly host this web server using the public IP address from the browser so that we get the default web server page. And here are the commands required to install the web server, which is HTTPD. First, we will update the system to ensure all packages are up to date. Next, we will install the web server, start the service, and enable it to ensure it runs automatically after system reboots. Now to connect to the instance, select the instance and click on Connect. AWS provides multiple connection methods starting with Instance Connect, which is a simple and secure way to access your EC2 instance directly through a web browser. With Instance Connect, there is no need to create a key pair or install a third-party SSH clients. It works only with instances running Amazon Linux or Ubuntu and is ideal for temporary on-demand access rather than long-term connections. And EC2 Instance Connect is available at no additional cost. There are 2 methods when using the Instance Connect. The first method is connect using EC2 Instance Connect. This requires the instance to have a public IP address and SSH protocol must be open in the security groups. The second method is connect using EC2 Instance Connect endpoint. In this case, the instance does not need a public IP address and it uses a VPC endpoint for connectivity instead of internet. And what's more, you don't need to open SSH protocol in the security group. Now, when deciding which method to use Instance Connect for public-facing instances when a public IP address is available and you need a quick, straightforward connection. Use EC2 Instance Connect endpoint for instances in private subnets or those without a public IP address when you need a secure, private access without exposing the instance to the internet. For this demonstration, I will use the first option. Click Connect. Once inside, we'll update the server by running the first command. Sudo yum update. Next, we will explore Session Manager. Session Manager is an AWS Systems Manager capability that allows you to securely connect to EC2 instances without needing SSH access. To enable this, we first need to create an IAM role with necessary Systems Manager permission for the EC2 instance. Let's start by creating the IAM role. In the IAM dashboard, on the left panel, click on Roles. Click on Create Role at the top of the page. Under Trusted Entity, choose AWS Service. For use case, select EC2. This means the role will be used by EC2 instances. And click Next. In the Attach Permission Policy section, search for Amazon SSM Managed Instance Code. So Amazon SSM Managed Instance Code. This is the one. Enable it and click Next. Enter the role name as SSM Session Manager role. Review the permissions and ensure Amazon SSM Managed Instance Core policy is listed in the permissions. Once reviewed, click Create Role to finalize the creation of the role. Now head over to the EC2 dashboard, select the instance you are working with, and go to Actions. Under the Security section, click Modify IAM role and choose the role we just created. After attaching the IAM role to the instance, go back to the Session Manager. You may notice that Connect button is still grayed out. This is because it can take about 25 to 30 minutes for all necessary configurations to be ready for you to connect using Session Manager. After waiting for a while, let's check again. Now you can see the Connect is enabled. Now click on Connect. You should see a session open. Now we will run this command to install the web server. So sudo yum install httpd. The httpd server was successfully installed. I have already made a separate video on how to connect an EC2 instance using Session Manager and its required prerequisites. You can refer to that video if you want to explore more. I'll keep that link in the description below. Now let's talk about SSH client option. When you choose SSH client, AWS provides step-by-step instructions for connecting to your EC2 instances using the SSH protocol. Before you proceed, there are few prerequisites. You need to have SSH client installed on your local machine. If you are using Linux or Mac, you already have a built-in SSH command line tool available. If you are on Windows, you can use tools like PuTTY, Windows Terminal, or PowerShell. Ensure you have access to the private key file which you downloaded when launching the instance. The instance must have a public IP address to allow remote access. The instance security group must allow SSH traffic on port 22. Once you meet these requirements, you can use the SSH client to securely connect your EC2 instance and manage it from your local system. Since I'm a Windows user, I'll first open PowerShell and navigate to the keypair folder. This folder is located on the desktop in a folder named keypair. So I'll type cd desktop keypair to get there. If you type ls, it will list the files in the keypair folder and you should see the keypair which we downloaded earlier. The process is the same if you are using Mac or Linux up to this point. Now let's head to the AWS Management Console and copy the SSH command. Since I'm using PowerShell on Windows, I can directly paste and run the command. However, if you are using Linux or Mac, before running SSH command, you need to adjust the permissions by using chmod command. After that, you can run the SSH command. Now back in PowerShell, paste the command and we should successfully connect to the instance. So it is asking, are you sure you want to continue connecting? Of course, I would say yes. Once connected, we have already updated the instance through Instance Connect, installed HTTPD server using Session Manager. Now it's time to start and enable the service. Let's clear the screen. So sudo systemctl start HTTPD sudo systemctl enable HTTPD. Now that the web server is installed, let's access it using the public IP address of the instance. So go to EC2 console, select the instance, take the public IP address, and keep it in the browser. Even though the HTTPD server is installed, you might find you cannot access the web server yet. This happens because the necessary port for web traffic, which is HTTP or HTTPS, is not yet open in the security group associated with the instance. To fix this, follow these steps. Go to EC2 dashboard, locate and select the security group. At the bottom right, edit inbound rules under the security group details. Add a new rule, select HTTP, source as anywhere, IPv4, and save it. Now, if you refresh the page, you should see the default web server almost instantly. This confirms that the web server is now accessible, and you might also know the importance of security group. Lastly, the EC2 serial console. It is an AWS feature designed to access the low-level system interface of an EC2 instance for troubleshooting and management tasks. Unlike regular connection methods, it directly connects to the instance serial port. An instance serial port is a virtual interface that mimics the function of physical serial port in traditional computers. So when to use the EC2 serial console? When the instance loses network connectivity due to misconfigured security groups, route tables, or firewalls, for resolving boot failures or errors such as kernel issues or malfunctioning startup services, to regain access if SH keys are deleted or misconfigured. Now let's do the cleanup. Terminate the EC2 instance. Select the instance state, terminate, confirm it, and delete the IAM role created for Session Manager. So SSM, yeah, select it and click on delete. So select the role and delete. To conclude, we have successfully launched and connected to an EC2 instance while covering key AWS concepts. We discussed AMI, instance type, security groups, key pair, IAM roles, and user data for automating setup. We explored 4 connection methods: Instance Connect for quick browser access, Session Manager for secured managed access, SSH client for advanced users, and EC2 serial console for troubleshooting. Finally, we installed a web server and updated the security group to allow HTTP traffic, making it accessible via the public IP address. That's all for today's hands-on session. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and happy learning.